Alyssa Thomas and DeWanna Bonner are both going in to try to get the loose ball. This is just bad right here, you guys. So Alyssa Thomas kind of dives in, but you can see her fist go straight into her neck. And then there's another angle where her knee kind of goes into her groin. And this is at minimum a flagrant one, and nothing was called here. You can see everybody's running back the other direction. Caitlin's slow to get up. This wasn't called. And then there was another play later on.
The fist connected with the throat before the basketball ever touched the floor. Caitlin Clark, the woman who single-handedly reshaped the financial landscape of the WNBA, lay crumpled on the hardwood while Alyssa Thomas's fist drove straight into her neck. No whistle, no review, no call at all. The referees simply turned their backs and sprinted the other direction, leaving Clark struggling to rise while the Mercury charged the other way. This wasn't just a missed call. This was the culmination of everything wrong with how the WNBA handles its most valuable asset. 2 nights earlier, the Fever and Mercury had engaged in a fourth-quarter war that produced 5 technical fouls and ended with Myisha Hines-Allen being ejected. The league had every reason to believe Wednesday's rematch would be explosive. Instead, the officials went full 180 and called practically nothing. And in that vacuum of officiating accountability, Alyssa Thomas delivered what can only be described as assault on the basketball court. The rivalry between Caitlin Clark and the veteran physicality of the WNBA has been simmering since Clark's rookie season. But this was different. This wasn't a hard foul on a drive. This wasn't a bump in transition. This was a fist to the throat of the league's generational superstar while she was already on the ground. And when the WNBA finally acted, suspending Thomas for 1 game, it raised an even bigger question. Is 1 game enough for a play so dangerous that even mainstream media platforms were forced to cover it?
You see, this is the reason why I rarely film episodes in the morning, because there's always some sort of breaking news in the afternoon, and I do have an update for you guys. So it was just announced that Alyssa Thomas is suspended for 1 game after receiving a flagrant foul 2 penalty for recklessly making contact with her fist to the throat of Caitlin Clark, the WNBA has announced. And this was pretty quick. This is actually quicker than I expected the WNBA to act and review the play from last night. This is also new.
The WNBA moved with unprecedented speed, announcing Alyssa Thomas's 1-game suspension just hours after the incident. This marked a significant departure from how the league had handled similar situations in the past. Throughout the 2024 season, Caitlin Clark had been the victim of egregious fouls that went unpunished, the takedowns, the hard fouls in transition, the closeouts that endangered her landing space. In previous seasons, when Nafisa Collier suffered a devastating injury from a similar Alyssa Thomas play, the league failed to act decisively. Cheryl Reeve's outrage fell on deaf ears. But this time, the backlash was different. Major mainstream media platforms covered the play. Social media erupted with demands for accountability. Coach Stephanie White spoke with unprecedented passion about protecting her generational talent. The WNBA, facing pressure from all sides, finally did something they'd never done before. They retroactively escalated a flagrant foul to a suspension. The league's statement confirmed Alyssa Thomas had been penalized for recklessly making contact with her fist to the throat of Caitlin Clark. Yet the suspension raises a troubling question. If a fist to the throat of the league's most valuable player warrants only 1 game, what exactly does it take to receive a meaningful punishment in the WNBA? The league's history suggests the answer is devastating. Last season, Caitlin Clark suffered injuries from plays that went unpunished. Nafisa Collier underwent double ankle surgery because of a dangerous play. Angel Reese was pulled down by her hair. Each incident generated outrage. Each incident produced promises of improvement. And each incident was followed by another dangerous play. Understanding why the WNBA has failed to protect Caitlin Clark requires examining the league's complex relationship with physicality. Veteran players pride themselves on the WNBA's brand of physical basketball, often pointing to it as the distinguishing characteristic of the women's game. And there's an argument that some level of physicality enhances competition. But the Alyssa Thomas ball on Caitlin Clark crossed a line that shouldn't exist in any professional sport.
And go from there. But I do want to play for you guys what Coach Stephanie White had to say after the game, because I don't think I've heard Coach Stephanie White this passionate in standing up for her players, at least as of late, and especially with Caitlin Clark. So I'm going to play this almost in its entirety, but I do want you guys to hear what she had to say about the calls last night.
But it was egregious. The fact that it was a no call.
Coach Stephanie White's halftime intervention reveals the systemic failure that allowed this play to happen. White brought the no call to the officials' attention during the break, expecting them to adjust their approach. Instead, the Fever were assessed 11 fourth-quarter fouls compared to the Mercury's 2. The referees had been told about a fist to Caitlin Clark's throat, had been shown the evidence, and they still refused to protect the league's most important player. White's frustration boiled over in the post-game press conference. She called the play absolutely egregious and utterly disrespectful. She pointed to the Mercury's 24 free throws in the second half alone. She highlighted the reckless closeout that endangered Clark's landing space, a play that was reviewed but not upgraded. And she made the most damning observation. She is not called the same way everybody else is called. This isn't speculation. It's the observation of a Hall of Fame coach who has no reason to lie. The parallels to Stephen Curry's treatment in the NBA are instructive. Curry, the greatest shooter in basketball history, has never received the superstar whistle afforded to players like LeBron James or Kevin Durant. Yet even Curry receives more protection than Caitlin Clark. The NBA's officials understand that protecting Curry protects the product. The WNBA seems to have forgotten this basic principle. There's a deeper psychological element at play here. For 2 decades, WNBA veterans toiled in obscurity, playing for minimal salaries in front of sparse crowds. Caitlin Clark's arrival changed everything. Overnight, the league experienced unprecedented attention, revenue, and mainstream coverage. And some veterans seem to resent this transformation. The physicality directed at Clark often carries an undercurrent of something darker, an attempt to prove that the new golden girl isn't tougher than the old guard. But targeting Clark's throat doesn't prove toughness. It proves desperation.
Number one, you gotta call it. It's absolutely egregious and utterly disrespectful. And then number two, you're coming in here aware of what happened 2 nights ago, and that still happens? Absolutely unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable.
But the broader impact on the WNBA itself may be even more significant. When Coach Stephanie White says, "We have a generational talent and a WNBA superstar who had 2 cheap shots right there that weren't called," she's articulating a fundamental threat to the league's future. The WNBA has spent years trying to build a sustainable, successful product. The new collective bargaining agreement has dramatically increased player salaries. Television ratings are at historic highs. Sponsors are finally treating the league as a serious investment. And yet, the biggest story of the season involves a fist to Caitlin Clark's throat and a 1-game suspension. Mainstream media platforms that rarely mention the WNBA are covering this incident. But they're not covering Caitlin Clark's brilliant playmaking. They're not covering the Fever's high-powered offense or the Mercury's comeback victory. They're covering violence. They're covering the league's failure to protect its biggest star. And that coverage, while extensive, is the wrong kind of exposure. The financial implications are substantial. Caitlin Clark has been the primary driver of the WNBA's economic boom. Her presence in arenas has sold out venues across the league. Her jersey is the best-selling in WNBA history by a massive margin. Her games generate television ratings that were previously unimaginable. If Clark suffers a serious injury because the league refuses to adequately police dangerous plays, the entire financial ecosystem of the WNBA could collapse. Sponsors will leave. Viewers will tune out. The momentum the league has spent 30 years building could evaporate in a single season. The league's decision to suspend Alyssa Thomas after the fact represents a modest step toward accountability. But the question remains, why did the league wait until mainstream media pressure forced their hand? Why did Coach Stephanie White have to publicly call out the officiating before anyone acted? Why has Caitlin Clark been subjected to dangerous plays all season with no meaningful consequences for the perpetrators?